Good morning and happy Tuesday, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining. Welcome Info, Iranical, Nye, Alex, James, AJ, and Keisha to the stream. So far this morning, we have the market up just a little bit. As we can see with the SPY, we saw a huge pop up around an hour ago, and that was around the time the CPI report came out. Overall, it was relatively good. The CPI data came in below analyst expectations, which is a good thing. And we saw the market really respond in a positive way to that.
Yeah, and the majority of people, I think, were looking for this data to make the market go down. So I'm not too surprised that it went against the majority of people here. And we see that happen quite a bit with the market where weird events are going to come out and people usually swing in one direction or the other. And it usually seems like it tries to go against the majority. And we can see that kind of happen today with the SPY and the CPI data. Unfortunately, it just came out a little bit better than I think people thought, and it made the market kind of pop back up. But this could be good news, especially if the SPY can break out above 449 today. I think we could have a pretty good pop, and it is kind of in between a range of 447 and 449.
Good stuff. So yeah, SPYs should definitely be on everyone's radar. Like we said, it is trending up today, but Tom, you look at yesterday and we saw a very similar pattern. Like we saw a lot of green in the morning and we just had a hard rejection right off that 449 level and then like a slow drop down. So 449 will be a pretty big level heading into today. And even if we break above that, just even 450 is also going to be a huge level to watch out for.
Yeah, it is. I mean, those levels are just so big, especially on like technical levels, even psychological levels at this point, because it's bounced off of it so many times. But let's go check out the VXX. A lot of people are hedging themselves, buying shares of VXX and UVXY, and it is down a little bit today, especially off of those highs of like 27 from yesterday. We're all the way down to like 25.60. Looks like it is kind of going down at open. So those stocks are falling. Let's see how AMC is doing. It looks like AMC is also kind of falling off here right at open, but we'll have to see if we can kind of get a nice recovery back up because, AMC has been looking pretty hot the past few days. And if the SPY starts to fall again, that might be what we need to heat AMC back up.
True that. And another stock I was really watching was RUN. Yesterday they had an amazing recovery. They sold off right at open, but they came back in an awesome way. And, I think that they do have a lot of potential for the short term and the long term.
Yeah, and look at RUN's daily chart. That's actually pretty good. All right, off of that 40 support just a week or two ago, and we got pretty close to it just yesterday, even down to like $42. That was a pretty good bounce back up. Like you said, the recovery was very nice, and I think if we break out above $47 with RUN, we might see another good run today. And man, I could see it. I mean, this daily chart looks pretty strong. We've been down here at support, and it looks like this stock is going to try to get another bounce back up, kind of like BLNK, CHPT, and those others. It looks like they're all kind of recovering up pretty good.
Good stuff. So, and one last stock I was really watching was Palantir. They're making a really nice recovery today. They're up like 0.8%, which is relatively big for a company like Palantir. And overall, they are on a pretty good uptrend.
Yeah, I'm glad to see them hold that $25 support and go right back up. I think that was a great level for them to hold. And just looking at them on the daily, they were kind of hitting off resistance just a couple weeks ago. And now we're coming a little bit to the downside, but I'm glad it's recovering the past couple days. And I'm with you. I really think Palantir looks pretty good today. I liked it off that 25 support yesterday. And so far today, looks like it has a lot of momentum. Hopefully it can kind of keep this up. As of right now, it had a lot at open and looks like a red candle is kind of mixed in here, but we'll definitely have to see how it moves, within the next 15 minutes.
Good stuff. And then welcome David, Vicky, and Mike to the stream. Thank you guys so much for joining. And then Tom, did you see this NEO action to start the day? Up 1.5%, and we're moving pretty big.
No, I didn't, but this is a great move with the NIO, actually. This is awesome. They're up above all the SMAs. They're up above that 38.50 resistance. This is a great move, and this is probably going to be the best stock for today, or it's definitely the best one I'm seeing so far, and up 1.4%. Not too much, not up too much percentage-wise, but moves on the intraday candles and everything look pretty good. And I will say, lots of momentum here with NIO. Hopefully the recovery can still happen later on today as well. That was a big sell-off yesterday. It opened with NIO, and I cannot believe that it recovered all the way back up. And hey, I'm glad it happened, and hopefully the momentum keeps up.
Good stuff. All right, and then we have Nye saying thoughts on Microsoft looks good for the day. So let's take a look. MSFT. MSFT, they're having a nice recovery to start the day, but they do have a really strong resistance right at 300. And, just a lot of tech stocks in general have been struggling lately.
Yeah, they really have. And if we see another rejection at 300, then that might show that Microsoft might be able to go back down, but we'll just have to watch it pretty closely. If we do break out above 300, then we will probably see Microsoft in the tech sector continue to go back up. But as of right now, it looks like a rejection off of 300 is happening on Microsoft. So hopefully they can keep going down.
Alrighty. So good stuff there. Guys, let us know what stocks you're watching. I know that there's a lot going on with the market, whether it be the SPY, tech stocks, growth stocks, you name it. We'll take a look at it. And then we have Keisha saying, did you guys see the recovery in Tesla? Let's take a look. I mean, they had an awesome recovery from yesterday's lows. And, Tom, we're getting really, really close to that 750 resistance.
Yeah, we are. And I'll tell you what, that move yesterday was crazy. We fell from 740 all the way down to 708. And now we're all the way back up to 750 today at open. I can't believe this movement with Tesla and looking at them on the daily. I mean, you're right. I'm with you. I think there's definitely this resistance at 750 to look for right now. That's going to be the main thing to look for as Tesla's going up. Looks like we're sitting right on that level or moving right above it. So it looks like Tesla might be getting another run back to the upside, but there's still a long way to go before we're up above this blue trend line, which we've continually went down off of. So hopefully Tesla can get back above that. And then I think we might be pretty good, but it's just been rejection after rejection at these levels.
For sure. Alrighty, so I saw Oracle is selling off pretty bad on earnings. It's nothing too crazy, but down almost 4%, and I don't see too many major supports anywhere close.
Yeah, I don't either. I do see one around maybe like 84. 84 would be the next one I'm looking at, but as of right now, I could see it keep going down. That was a pretty bad gap, and look at them on their max daily chart here, Mike. I mean, this was getting pretty overextended. They were running from $60. They went up to all the way up to 90, and they're just kind of pulling back now on this earnings. I could see them coming back down for a few weeks, especially after this straight up move ever since the beginning of this year.
Good stuff. And then we have Alex saying, can you look at Twitter? I got inputs yesterday. So, yeah, I mean, it had a lot of selling pressure for not only the last week, but the last month or so. They went from like $70 all the way down to $60. $60 is going to be a pretty big support. Keep that in mind. One is a psychological level, but also two, it bounced off of that level multiple times in the past. Two main occurrences I'm seeing is on like March 25th and then also on February 8th. And then, of course, now, and it even bounced again around like the middle of June. So it's definitely a big support level. I can see it popping up in like the short term, but like in the medium term, I can definitely see it continuing down.
Yeah, me too. And maybe it'll end up holding 60, which could be good for Twitter, but I could see it going down too. This setup just doesn't look too good for me. And I'm honestly targeting more of the support down there around $50 over the next few months.
Alrighty. And then we have Iranical saying, please drag your blue line lower on Tesla chart and let it go up.
Yeah, maybe I should, and it'll just end up popping. That might be the way to go. Maybe we should, maybe I'll just draw a second trend line here at the bottom, actually, is what we'll do. We'll just create a double trend line here, and it is kind of holding this bottom one pretty well too. I mean, it's honestly been within a little bit of a range here, Mike, with it between these two trends, but I will say the upper trend is getting way more bounces than the lower one.
Here we go. All right, and then we have Vicky saying APPS support and resistance, please. So let's take a look. APPS. So they're up 3% today, looking pretty good. I see a pretty big support right at $60. There's a little bit of resistance right around 65, but I would say the more important resistance is 70. So a nice clean range between 60 and 70 is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, me too. And I'll tell you what, this looks like a pretty good setup to me. It looks pretty bullish, and I would say if we could break out above $66 or I would say 66 to 67, we'll see a pretty good pop out of APPS. And right now the setup looks pretty bullish and it's trying to hold this $60 support. And I'd say if we hold this, it could end up popping over the next few weeks. And I'd say it looks like a pretty good setup. We are really consolidating though on these resistances around 65 and on these SMAs though. So unless we see a break, I don't think I'd play it, but as soon as it breaks, I think it could be a pretty good runner.
Good stuff. So yeah, lots of green on my watch list so far. I would say that like 90% of all the stocks on my watch list are green right now. The only one that's red is Zoom, but they're kind of I guess an interesting play right now because they're still selling off because of earnings, which suck. But besides that, lots of green.
Man, did you see LVS today, Mike?
No, I didn't. Let's see.
Man, they are down 8% again. But yeah, look at this huge gap down they had this morning. They must have had some news come out or something. I'll have to look it up, but they fell right below that 42 support, not looking good. And, I'm looking at the news and I'm not seeing too much. I'm not seeing anything on the Thinkorswim news. So, man, I don't know. I don't know what made them fall 8%, but that was a big break of support and fall to the downside.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the news right now. So LVS is getting absolutely destroyed. I saw that they had that like almost $2 billion offering a couple days ago, but it wouldn't make sense for the stock to fall now, because that news was released a couple days ago. Another thing is I saw with Wynn, WYNN, they are named an official sports betting partner of the New York Jets, which isn't too crazy. Let me see with like Caesars real quick.
Wins down 8% too.
Yeah. I don't know. Did we miss some major news, Tom? What's going on?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't think I'm not seeing any like major news on the stuff except for that LVS share offering. That seems like the only thing I'm seeing that would really make them go down. You would think the news with Win would help them go up, but I don't know what's happening. Hopefully this isn't affecting DraftKings, which it's not. So good thing it's not affecting them. DraftKings is in the green 1%. So that's good at least. But man, LVS, MGM, Win, for some reason, these Vegas stocks are getting crushed right now.
Yeah, I'm looking into it right now. Let's see. Why are hotel stocks falling? I'm still not seeing any major news. So guys, if you guys know anything about this situation, definitely let us know. Then we have AJ saying thoughts on the SPY and QQQ already. So I'm still like neutral to slightly bearish on the market. And something very important to keep in mind is even in one of the most volatile, like I guess you could say one of the quickest market crashes in history, which was in February and March of last year, the COVID crash, there were still a good amount of green days sprinkled in there. So what I don't want people to do is, let's say you're bearish on the market. Anytime you see green, like you can't just get scared. So, if we look back throughout history, there's a lot of green candles when the market crashed in February and March of 2020. As of right now, I am still neutral to slightly bearish on the market.
Yeah, me too. And you can see it's trying to sell off today. And there is a little bit of support here at like 447.50, and we're on the 100 SMA. So the SPY might see a little bit of an intraday bounce, but definitely look for it to sell off a little bit. You can see how well we did in pre-market with that CPI data coming in a little bit better than expected. And you can see that it really made the market go up in pre-market, but as soon as the market opened, it kind of lost that momentum. And now we're just slowly starting to slide off here with the SPY. And, just don't be surprised if we see the SPY continue down today. And like Mike said, there's lots of green days mixed in, but the big thing is that on the daily chart here, SPY actually isn't green. It's green on the, percentage here as of from yesterday, but as of right now, the daily chart today is still red.
Yeah, so from today's current price to today's opening price, we are red, but from today's price to yesterday's closing price, we are green. So lots of selling pressure, and I think, at least for me, this tells me that, people are just locking in profits. Anytime the market bops up a little bit, comes right back down, or at least it has a decent-sized pullback. And to me, that means locking in profits. But we will see, and statistically speaking, the market's more likely to continue up than it is to go down. So that's something very important to keep in mind. Like, even if you are bearish on the market, like in an objective way, it's important to understand that the market will most likely continue up.
Yeah, like we might be getting the top time perfect, but you never know. And, there's always that scenario. And a lot of times the market will do stuff where it pops down for a few days, kind of like what we just saw. And then people buy up the dip and then it gets rejected off those upper resistance levels again. Like we might see the SPY come back up and retest 452 before we start selling off. So, there could be lots of movement like that still to come. And I don't think that'll happen. The SPY looks like it's selling off again right now. As I'm speaking, pretty good. We might turn red on the day pretty soon if it continues at this rate, but we're really staying below the 1,000 SMA. on the 5 minute. Looks pretty good. I like that. I like that type of technical on this chart. And then also on the 15 minute, we're really staying below 450, which I think that 450 resistance is going to be pretty big for the next few days.
Good stuff. And then we have Jay saying, any thoughts on snow? Let's take a look. SNOW up 2%, slow and steady. Looks pretty good. I mean, their options are a little bit expensive, so just make sure you get a quality option, but it looks pretty good.
It does. And, I will say we're getting really close to resistance right around 325 to 327. I think that's going to be a big resistance for the next couple of days for Snowflake, but this setup looks pretty good. And the way it fell down yesterday and popped right back up off of that $300 support was kind of crazy, actually. It hit right off of it and came right back up. And I think that we might get enough momentum to maybe push through these resistances if it keeps going.
Alrighty. And then we have, let's see. We have Kathy saying AMC is hitting low of day from yesterday. Do you think it will go lower or bounce and go up? So, Tom, what are you seeing?
Personally, as of right now, I think it's going to end up going a little bit lower today. It just fell below that $52 area and just has not been able to break back above that. It just hasn't been looking good. I do see a little bit of intraday support, though, down here right at $50 even. So we might be able to go down a little bit and maybe get a bounce off of that and then a move back up. But I would say I see AMC going down. It's had a great past few days, though. And you can see on my 90-day, 15-minute chart here, ever since like last Friday, we've done pretty well. We've been just flying straight to the upside here. And today is pretty much like one of the first red days sprinkled in. So, just maybe expect just a couple of red days and then maybe we'll be able to go back up, maybe bounce off of $50 or maybe off of 48.
We shall see. And then we have G mentioning Clove. So CLOV up almost 4% today. It's about time we see a green day with this one. I mean, it's been getting smacked.
Yeah, I had that awesome rise up above $10 all the way up to 11. And then, like you said, just got smacked right down to 850. I'm glad it's consolidating too. And man, it looks like a pretty good bottom here at $8.50. So hopefully this holds up for the next few days and creates a solid low for CLOV. And then we might be able to play a couple days to the upside here. There is some good resistance right at $9 and it's at 869 right now. So you might be able to get a good move up to 9. I also see resistance at 950 and then $10 after that. But Clover, like you said, Mike, has just been getting smacked. So hopefully we can get a couple more green days out of this one.
All right, and then we have Bravo saying, good morning, guys. What's your take on the market after the CPI data? Do we expect a sell-off today or rally off of this? I'm confused. So we saw a great rally in pre-market off of this CPI data. However, I am still neutral to like slightly bearish on the market. I think we're seeing a lot of profit taking in the market right now. Even tech stocks are pretty weak and they're kind of dragging the market down. You look at the SPY, anytime there's any notable run up, we see it, we see the market respond with a lot of selling pressure. So to me, that's a lot of profit taking and a lot of de-risking. So while I am neutral to slightly bearish on the market overall, it is important to realize that statistically speaking, the market will probably, or it's more likely to go up than it is to fall. But with everything being said, I'm neutral to slightly bearish.
Yeah, and I would say if we break back up above 449, I think that's going to be the main like upper resistance level to look for. And if we break up above that, then I think I'll be more bullish on it, especially like intraday today. As of right now, ever since open, it's just been slowly selling off. Now we could hit maybe like 447, end up going right back to the upside. Like Mike said, that's probably statistically speaking, the more likely scenario. So definitely watch out and always, have stop losses and stuff in place. Cause like if you're trading VXX and stuff like that, obviously like VXX calls are not doing too well today comparative to the middle of the day yesterday. So, it's all timing with the market, of course. And, you just have to try to get the best timing possible. And, you could have looked at VXX today and saw maybe the double bottom off that 2550 support and maybe entered in right there. Or you could have seen the SPY and maybe entered puts maybe right at open because you saw the huge pop and we were near resistance. So, timing it is the big way to go. And especially if you're doing like intraday trades, obviously if you're doing leaps and stuff, timing it's not as important. But with these small moves to the downside, timing is really, really key. And, it's the main way, it's the main thing for puts usually is that timing is really, really important. And obviously you can pay for more time, but most people just generally don't like to do that.
Yeah, and another thing to also keep in mind is you can always just, take like a long position in shares with VXX, or, even short the market. Like if you short the SPY, like, that's just another option. You don't have to worry about, paying these put premiums and all that. So just more options to keep in mind. But Tom, I'm not sure if you saw this one, but JMIA is bouncing off a huge support right now, right at $20, and it looks pretty good.
Wow, this looks really good, Mike. I mean, man, this looks really good to pick up some shares. I might sell some puts or maybe pick up some shares. Maybe if I could sell the $20 put, that might be pretty good. I might just grab shares though at 21, not too far off that support. Looks really good to the upside. And, guys, if you guys don't know what JMIA is, they are like the Amazon of Africa. So that's pretty good. And, we've all seen how like the Amazon of China has done with Alibaba. Now, don't count the last 6 months of, China's messing it up, but look how well Baba's done over the past few years before China came in and messed it all up. Man, JMIA, I think, is going to have a lot of potential for the next few months.
I agree. I'm eyeing up some options on it. IV's low, so it's actually at a pretty good level, and I'm pretty tempted.
Yeah, leaps could be really good on this, Mike. I mean, man, I'm going to be really interested. Let's go like check some out. Actually, I'm going to check out some leaps on them. Let's maybe check out like the January of like 2023. I mean, man, I could get a $20 leap for only like $800 here.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, what other levels do you have in mind with this one? Like, let's say we pop up. Like, what levels are you watching?
I'm definitely going to be in the shorter term. I'm going to be watching. It looks like they've had a lot of trouble breaking $22. So I'll really be watching that in the short term, but I'm not too worried about 22. That's really close range. If you end up playing leaps or anything, the main level I think to look for is this level up here right around $30 to $31. There's been lots of movement right there. And I would think we could possibly hit there and then move back down. So that's what I would look for the most, especially, obviously $20 is really large, but if we start to move to the upside, 30 to 31 would be the main level. If we go higher than that, then $40 after that was definitely another resistance, but definitely I think 30 to 31 will be the bigger one in the near future.
All right, and then we have Alex saying snow's approaching the 325 level, still holding the 310 call for 1015. It's had wild swings yesterday, so good stuff, Alex. Did you end up turning that one into a spread? I don't remember. I know we talked about it a little bit, but either way, you're looking pretty good. You got that 310 call for 1015. One thing to keep in mind is as you get closer to expiration, the value of that option will fall a little bit, assuming the stock price doesn't move because of theta decay. So either way, it's looking good. You got in at a good time, and I hope it continues up for you. Bravo mentioned how the 10-year rates are dropping too. He said, I feel like walking on eggshells with this market this week. And I know what you mean. It's definitely shaky, and, it's hard because, it's hard to take a big long position or a short position just with everything going on. But I know what you mean. It's definitely pretty tough, and it doesn't hurt to get some hedges in place. And then we have Keisha saying, what do you guys think of Boeing? I think it's about time for a reversal. I love Boeing right now.
Yeah, I love Boeing too, and I really hope that the 210 level holds up as a really good support for them. My main worry is just that if the overall market falls, Boeing's probably going to fall too. And if we see like the SPY and the tech sector start to drastically sell off, Boeing will probably do the same. And especially if we break below 210, I'll be pretty worried. But the 210 support's holding up pretty well. And I'll be honest, if you wanted to enter a long-term position right here, I think it's a good time to start to average into shares. But the main thing is right now we're at $214, $215 a share. If it falls below 210, I think you could just cut that right there with very minimal losses, and you could have a great chance to maybe buy Boeing for this next upside swing if we end up holding 210. Now, if we break below it, like I said, just really simple, just sell your shares right there, and then maybe buy in a little bit lower after the market's done falling. But definitely watch for it. I think that 210 support looks pretty good, Mike. And I will say there's a lot of resistance at 220, but I like the bounces right now.
Honestly, I think the best way to go with this one, like assuming you like it for the long term, is maybe just grab some shares and just hold it. Like even if it falls down to 200 or 190 or whatever, I feel like it's a really good long term play, and no one can catch the bottom anyways. So that's like my opinion. I think selling puts is great, but like Tom also mentioned, a bunch of great ways to trade it. So I think there's a lot of different opportunities with this one, whether you want to hold it for the long term or even trade it like Tom suggested.
Yeah, and I think that for the long term, the only thing that I'm a little bit worried about, Mike, is just this long term blue trend line. And, we've been talking about this one a lot on Boeing. And if it does end up falling below 210 and out of this, the question is how low are we going to go? But the thing is like if you start to average in here, if you get half of your position at 215, let's say, and then half of your position, let's just theoretically say like 175, you're going to be averaging somewhere like 190 to 200. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, and then we have Shelly saying, "Good morning. Next resistance for SDC, please." Let's take a look, Tom. SDC looks like they have a huge support at 5, but I know Shelly was asking for resistance, so I'm seeing a huge level right at 7, and actually just under that. Let me zoom in real quick. Like right at like 7 to like $6.50. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I'm looking on the 180-day 4-hour chart. Yeah, I would say I see one like right around 7, and I see the one you're saying right under it. Yeah, like right at 650, and we actually hit 650 like in pre-market today and went down.
Alrighty, there we go. So yeah, I mean, it looks like a pretty big level right at 650 and 7. Definitely keep that in mind. IV's rising up a little bit, but hey, I mean, it had a good test earlier today, which is good. And then we have Bravo saying, "How do you guys feel about LVS? Bad news today on Macau Casino." So we actually missed this news, Tom. That must be it. So it looks like, yeah, like Bravo said, the bad news on the Macau Casino. We didn't, for some reason, this news is not showing up on Thinkorswim. So we're having a hard time sourcing the news. Here, Tom, let me take a look at a couple things real quick. Give me 1 second on LVS.
Okay.
So
And then,
see.
yeah, let's see it. Yeah, LVS looks pretty crazy on the daily chart, though, Mike. I mean, it was looking like yesterday we would have a pretty good bounce off this 42 support. We had a solid green day yesterday. And then today, just that huge gap down. Like some bad news definitely came out. And, this is what happens with these type of volatile hotel stocks. They generally move off of news like this or off of COVID news and different news like that. So I'm not too surprised to see it down. And the good news with LVS, though, is that it had lows down here around 36.50, and we're still like nowhere near that. We're at 39.25, so we're still quite a ways off the lows of a few weeks ago.
For sure. So Bravo, like I'm looking like a bunch of things up, and for some reason I can't. Okay. So he said that it's not the casino news. It was something like China, a regulation in the Macau casino or something. Gotcha. So I don't know. For some reason, like I did a couple different searches. I looked on, of course, the Thinkorswim news. I looked at even just Google in general, and I'm having a hard time seeing that news. But we definitely missed this one. Either way, the stock's down 9%. And I'm actually more tempted to get like Win shares than anything else. I like them for the longer term more. They're also down like 8.5%. In my opinion, they have a much better long-term chart than LVS. Like we look at like a max weekly chart or max daily on Win and LVS. Like Win has like a stronger uptrend, while LVS has just been flat since like 2005 actually.
Yeah, and I think that personally, Wynn will do a lot better as well. They're a lot more established, I think, as far as like their casinos in Las Vegas and stuff. But LVS isn't bad either. But I think that Wynn's definitely better of the two as well. But looking at that max weekly chart, I mean, you can definitely see the differences here. Like Wynn definitely seems like a lot steadier, and LVS is a lot more up and down with these huge 50% swings to the upside and then 60% swings down. And it's kind of crazy with LVS actually on the daily, but I really like Win a lot better. And personally, I like MGM better than both of them. It's just the problem with MGM is that they're up here at highs while Win is down at lows. So I think that's the main difference. But one big thing is that MGM, they have that Bet MGM app. And I have a weird feeling that is keeping them, up here in the game a lot better than Win and some of the others.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. And then I saw even Win. I just want to touch on this real quick. Is I saw that Win, they have their WinBet app or program, you could say, which is good. And I'm sure LVS has some sort of thing like it, but I know BetMGM is definitely growing a lot, so that's good. And then we have, let's see, Iranical saying thoughts on LVS. Like, I like Win more, but hey, when it's down 9%, it probably is not going to go anywhere anytime soon, so it doesn't hurt to buy the dip.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad to pick up shares right now for the long term. And the good news is that even though we had lows of like 36 a while ago, there was lows of in 2020 all the way down like when COVID happened down to 33. And I think that right now is a pretty good time for the long term, especially if you're just going to average in now. Maybe you should just get a little bit of LVS, a little bit of Win, maybe a little bit of MGM, maybe even sprinkle in some DraftKings in there. And, maybe you could just make yourself a pretty good like a homemade ETF almost.
Good stuff. So, Tom, it looks like the SPY is reversing. What's going on?
Yeah, the SPY does look like it's coming back. It looks like, let's check it out, back to the downside, not looking good at all. And it looks like it's really going to test that 446 level right now. And I don't know if we're going to be able to break below that or not, but I would say we definitely have a good chance to. And man, if you look at this on this 5-minute chart here, every time we touch the 1000 SMA with the SPY, it's been going right back to the downside, and we're just really failing to break out above that. We got really close to it in pre-market trading today, as well as that resistance around 449. And man, we just seeing rejection after rejection every day it opened with the SPY. And it seems like in pre-market, the SPY keeps getting bought up, but and then it opened, it just keeps selling right off. So I don't know like what that's showing, but either way, I think that the SPY should keep going down today. Looks like we might be going down and retesting that 444 support. And man, if we break below 444, I'm pretty scared because this has been a bad past couple days. And, I'm surprised to see it kind of going down after it went up with that CPI data in pre-market. It's just everything going on right now is just blowing my mind. We had that Afghanistan stuff going on a couple weeks ago, and then the SPY hit all-time highs during that. Now we're finally falling off. So it's just been a really strange past month with the market.
Yep. And then we have, let's see, a bunch of comments. We have Jorge saying MMAT is breaking out. Palantir also with nice action today. So great eye. MMAT is popping up pretty well. And I love to see this Palantir movement.
Yeah, PLTR is moving really well, actually. I know we talked about them a ton, and I know they had a big resistance at 26.25, broke right up through that. We are bouncing off that resistance up here at 26.75, but man, that was a great run for the past 2 days with Palantir off that $25 support. And man, I could see it maybe consolidating for the rest of today, but wow, that was a great move ever since open.
Good stuff. And then we have Bravo saying, thinking of investing into EL or Alta, the better one. One would be a good entry end of September. I think that's smart, knowing that September is generally the worst month for the market. And considering that we're already seeing the market fall, I think that'd be a good time, around the end of September. Of course, no one can catch the bottom, but I like that strategy. And, keep in mind that averaging in slowly will probably be the best way to go. Even if you just got let's say a tenth of your total position, let's say at the end of September, and you slowly bought in, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome too. Averaging in is definitely a good way to go, especially with these stocks. Like you can see Alta's been on a really good uptrend over the past year, and they just started to break out to all-time highs. So, I could see them maybe coming down a little bit, but for the next few months, I could see them still going up. EL is also doing good. Both of these are makeup companies, and I cannot believe how good they've been doing, actually.
There we go. And we have Bravo with the awesome super chat saying, keep up the good work. Market bearish, but it's time to tip this channel. I'm bullish on this channel. So thank you so much, Bravo, for all your support. Tom and I are so grateful for you. So thank you so much for everyone joining, but especially Bravo. Thank you so much for all of the support. And then we have Alex saying, what do you think of GDRX for a swing calls? It's been on a pretty good recent trend up and not too affected by recent market sell-offs. So GDRX, yeah, it is trending pretty well. What are you thinking, Tom?
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. It's been going up quite a bit here. This recovery ever since the 30 support has been awesome. We're touching $45 today, and we came right back down. I do see some resistance here right around 45. So I'm not too surprised to see it going down, but I will say it's been a great stock for the past few weeks. And if we can break this 45 resistance, I think it can definitely continue up. It's definitely been on the uptrend lately.
Good stuff. And then we have Spacely with all caps saying Palantir is back. There we go. Up 2.5% today. You love to see that, especially on a day when the market's down.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big difference. Usually Palantir is flying up like with the market, but man, I'm glad to see it kind of flying up today. That's a great sign. And hopefully, if the market ends up falling, I think that shows that Palantir might be able to go up all on its own.
There we go. And then let's see. We have Bravo saying, yeah, it's not bad to pick up shares of LVS. It will bounce back one day in the future. I own the stock, but wait till we get more confirmation of the market first. So, yeah, I mean, it's a solid company. I don't see them going anywhere. Like, I don't see them going out of business anytime soon. And, they'll definitely adapt. And, when you have a stock down 10% in a day, generally speaking, as long as they're a good company like LVS is, it's probably a good idea to buy the dip.
Yeah, and it's probably not going to end up going out of business or anything like that. If they were able to survive 2008, they should be able to survive right now. And you can see in 2008, now I just want to put this in perspective for everyone because 2008 was a terrible, terrible time for the casino industry. LVS was at 148, fell all the way down to $1.38, and then slowly recovered over the years after 2008. But I think that LVS is a solid company, and this just shows that even with those big downtrends that they do have sometimes, they do end up recovering over the next few years, but it does take a while. It might take 5 years to see a nice, 100% gain out of this if you bought it right now, but that's just part of the game, and that's what you do with these longer term stocks.
For sure. And then we have Bravo saying a lot of analysts, JP Morgan talked bearish about a 10% correction. What do you think? So I can definitely see it 100%. If we look at the SPY overall, we're already seeing like a decent sell-off. Like, I'm not sure. Tom, can you pull out the percentage for us real quick, like from like the highs to where we are right now?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it on the 1 hour chart. It's not, it just cut off the top of the percentage, but there we go to where we are right now. It looks like we're down around 1.92% if you count like the low of yesterday. So I'd say like right around 2%.
All right, good stuff. So I can definitely easily see a 10% correction. Now keep in mind that doesn't mean it's going to be as quick as we saw with the COVID crash in February and March, but I can definitely see it. And to put something into perspective, the market has just been exploding, like literally exploding over the past 2 years from the lows back in February and March of 2020. We are at double that level on the S&P. So that's crazy. Like, it's not like we're just talking about some growth stock. Like, we are talking about the S&P 500. So that's huge, and I can definitely see it.
Yeah, it's up well over 100%. At some point, people just have to think that these things are overextended. And, a lot of people were thinking that we might go down at the resistance with the highs of COVID. So like a lot of people thought maybe we'd hit like 337 or 340 and go down. And there was definitely a lot of downwards movement right off of those levels, but we ended up breaking it back to the upside. And man, we've just been making new high after new high. We've been seeing Microsoft have new highs, NVIDIA, AMD, Apple. I mean, man, it's just been across the board with these huge stocks. It's not like these are small stocks either. Like, these are market maker stocks. And you can see that the SPY, it is down 2% now from the highs, but if we go down 10%, we'll end up somewhere pretty close to the $400 area. So maybe that'll just be a pretty good support. The $400 support might be the level to look for if the SPY starts to drop. And, I think that those analysts are right. I think that we could see a 10% correction. And, even if we saw a 10% correction, if you count the low of COVID, that would still put us up, let's see, 82% since that recovery. So that's a really good number. And like I said, that's 82% in just like a couple years of movement out of the SPY. That's huge.
Yeah. And then we have saying Tesla to 754. Yeah, it's popping up pretty well. Like you could say like up 1.5% on the day, but it's looking pretty good. And Tom, what are you thinking? Tesla to 754?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks like it's coming back. I don't know. I mean, it looks like it hit right off of that. It's coming back down. Personally, to me, I think it looks like it could continue up today. Has a lot of momentum. And, we're seeing the SPY start to come down, though, which would make me think Tesla could fall. But I would think we might be able to retest maybe this 760 resistance or somewhere pretty close. But with the SPY falling, it's really hard to say. But it looks like Tesla is falling over here on the 1 minute as of right now. So we might see it go down off this 754 level.
Good stuff. And we have Bravo saying, what do you think of V support? Is it a hold or sell? So if you already own shares, it's a solid company. I doubt they're going to go anywhere. You know, they're a solid company. And with the way the world is changing, credit card companies will probably do very well. Like everything's like switching to like digital. And I know that like the use of credit cards is definitely growing a lot compared to cash. So if you already hold it, I would just hold it. And actually, they are falling like a decent amount, like over like the past month or so. And like when you look at a max weekly of them, they are just like on a non-stop, like huge upwards trajectory. So they're a great company. But to be completely honest with you, I think that we're going to continue to fall a little bit more. And that's a time where I'm going to actually look to buy the stock.
Yeah, for sure. And they've actually split in the past too. And I would definitely look for that little drop as well. I think it'll create some great opportunities. And there is a pretty big support coming up around this 220 level over the next few days. So maybe look for that. But I mean, if we end up falling down towards 200 or something, I'll definitely be looking at it too. You know, Visa's a pretty solid company. Like I said, they did split back in the past year on the max weekly chart. But it looks like back in 2015, they had a split. So that's pretty good to see. And I think that they'll end up doing pretty well for the long term here too. And who knows, maybe they'll split again in the next few years.
Good stuff. Alrighty, so looking at my watch list, when the market opened, I had like 90% of the stocks on the watch list green, and now it's like 50-50. You know, we're seeing a lot of selling pressure coming in to certain aspects of the market, while we're starting to see other aspects of the market rally up. And I see that you have BABA pulled up. How's it doing?
Yeah, it looks like the China stocks are coming back down to the downside again. And, you know, I don't know what this is, but every morning these Chinese stocks just have these pre-market gap ups or gap downs. And BABA's over the past 2 days has just had two pretty bad gaps to the downside. And looks like we might be going down to retest that 160 support at some point today. And once again, BABA's just starting to fall off. And, you know, people were really looking for that recovery out of BABA. You know, it started to really pop from like 150 right back up to 175. And now we're just falling right back down again. It's just it's a really depressing stock. I think it's a good time to buy it for the long term, but you know, it's just the main thing is are you okay dealing with the China risk? I mean, to me, there's just so many other stocks out there. Like, why even touch it at this point?
Yep. So then we have Bravo saying, which stock do you guys think is decent for the long term besides DraftKings, Zoom, and Fang? So I really, really like Boeing at these levels. I think it's at an awesome, huge support right now with Boeing. I also like Redfin. I'm also a fan of RUN. This is like a nice solar company. Corsair is also pretty good. I like their growth potential. And those are the main ones right now. There are a couple other little ones.
Oh, JMIA.
What'd you say, Tom?
JMIA off support.
Yeah, JMIA is not bad. It's a little riskier. But, yeah, I mean, those are like the top ones I like. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, JMIA is a little risky, like you said. I mean, I definitely like Boeing, like you said. I think it's a good time to start to average into them for the long term. And, you know, I was eyeing them up off of 220. So 210 is definitely not bad either. I like those stocks. I really like CHPT, PLTR, those types of stocks. I think CHPT, BLNK, and Plug, those three are all like right around support right now. And CHPT is actually bouncing up pretty decently. I think it's a good pickup for shares or a good time to short some puts, maybe at like the 20 strike or something. But honestly, I think Bravo, like some shares of this or some of these EV charging stocks could do great because they're supposed to be mentioned in that next infrastructure bill. And if they are, you know, like these companies are supposed to get some funding out of that. So that could be awesome for them. And they're right on support. So it almost seems like they're right on schedule.
All right. And then we have Bravo saying, I'm confused. UVXY is up, but VIX is down. So So what I'm seeing on Thinkorswim, like when we look at UVXY, it's up like 0.4%. And if we look at the VIX, that's up around like 0.77%. So at least on Thinkorswim, it looks like both of them are up right now. Of course, UVXY is a leveraged ETF, so the swings will be a little bit different than the VIX index, but either way, they're both popping up a little bit. Shows that people are at least starting to hedge themselves in the market.
Yeah, for sure. And I like the way VIX popped up this morning. I think that was a good kind of recovery back up out of the VIX, at least. A lot of people were kind of worried this morning that the markets might start to just fly back to the upside with that CPI data coming out. So I think it's good to see that what happened this morning with the market, the way it kind of fell back down. But we're going to have to see how it goes for the rest of the day, because hopefully that data doesn't really hopefully that doesn't make investors bullish again. I don't think it will personally, but you never know. That could really drive in some buyers if enough people think that data is going to show like inflation starting to go back down again.
All right, and then we have Bravo saying, which could mean the market will probably bounce back to slightly green today. So he said, which could mean market will probably bounce back to slightly green today. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that off of the VIX numbers, because they're both in the green right now. I think there's like a lot of other factors that would play into that. But either way, the market's in a point right now where it's kind of like a standstill between the bulls and the bears, I guess you can say. The SPY is technically right on the day. It's been selling off what seems like for over a week straight. I know yesterday was technically green from yesterday's close to Friday's close, but either way, I'm definitely still neutral to slightly bearish.
Yeah, me too. I'm just going to be slightly bearish on the overall market too, and it's really just failing to break out above this 449 resistance. If we can get back above that, I might be more bullish, but until that happens, I'm just going to keep looking at the market back to the downside. And it's just been steadily selling off. We're also failing to break out above the 1,000 SMA on the 5-minute chart, which is a pretty big level. Usually we have to break back above that for some good bullish movement to come back in. And we've just been really failing to break above it the past few days. Even though the SPY has been flat to, slightly up from the low of yesterday, it still failed to break out. And I personally just see it continuing to go down here, at least down to the 444 support over the next day or two.
All right. And then Bravo said he owns a big chunk of oil. It's been holding at least like CVX. So, that's good. CVX is a good company. I know they had that news that they were partnering with Gevo, or they had like an agreement with Gevo for that, I think it said like inedible corn turning into like aviation fuel or something like that, which is pretty good news. I know that GEVO exploded off that. And then he said he was asking for the VWAP on the SPY. So let's take a look. SPY, and we need to get that VWAP on there.
Yeah, let's add it on really quick. It'll just take me 1 second, Mike, but I have to add it on if I can. There's so many studies here on Thinkorswim. It's so good, but let's go to VWAP really fast. All right, let's see where let's go to the 1 minute, I guess. Man, so many lines
on
here.
That chart, Tom.
I know there's two. There's so we got VWAP. We have all these SMAs on here now. Let's see. I think that VWAP. Let's see. I think is this the VWAP line? I think it's right around 446.77 right now, Mike. If this is the right one.
Here, let's see. I mean, what you could do is you could hide the other ones. I'll just throw it up on my chart to get a quick reference in there. Let's see. So VWAP. So the current VWAP on the SPY is right around 446.77. So that's the level to watch for right now. It's where most of the volume has been traded. 446.77.
So yeah, so if we do get a recovery back up to VWAP, then or VWAP, then we will see it come back up today a little bit. But personally, I don't think we'll get all the way back up there. Of course, if the SPY keeps falling down, keep in mind that VWAP's going to keep falling down too. So in reality, it's just going to, keep falling if the SPY keeps going. But I could possibly see the SPY coming back up maybe to that level today, Mike. I mean, honestly, that's right around resistance too. So I could maybe see the SPY hitting that before we go down more. But I don't know. The sell-off's just pretty bad right now.
All right. Then we have Bravo saying, thanks, guys. Keep up the good work. So, yeah, thank you so much for everything, Bravo. And then Miles said, hey, Mike and Tom, love the channel. What do you think about Apple or the Apple event today? So, I mean, there's not really like any like basis to trade Apple off of this, to be honest. Actually, a lot of times Apple falls when it has these types of events, so I definitely won't be trading this Apple event to the upside or the downside. And like it's just a gamble. You know what I mean? Like even if the event is, like for example, like with Tesla's battery day last year, like it was so hyped up and the stock tanked off of it. You know what I mean? So like not only do you need the event to be good, but you also need it to be better than everyone is expecting. And then on top of that, you need the market to react in that way. You know what I mean? And then plus with the market falling down, it's just like I just don't think it's worth the risk playing it to the upside or the downside.
Yeah, I don't either. And just personally, like my opinions on this event aren't too good. Like I've heard a lot of stuff that the new iPhone 13, it's going to have the same exact specs apparently as the iPhone 12. The only difference is going to be the camera. And usually that stuff just comes into maybe some better zoom functions, maybe some better like night video functions or, stuff with lighting and stuff like that. There's not really too much upgrades, I don't think. And I have a weird feeling that the market might not take too kindly to this, especially with Apple being up around all-time highs right now, like they are. I don't know. I have a weird feeling that people might be kind of tired of it. And I know a lot of people bought the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 11. So maybe people won't get the iPhone 13 quite as much as they're thinking, but I don't know. We'll just have to see how it ends up going. Personally, though, I haven't heard too much good hype about it. I heard they're going to be reworking the Apple Watch and maybe redesign that. But other than that, there's nothing really too interesting about the event to me personally. So I don't know. It's not as big to me as the iPhone 12 event. And like you mentioned, Mike, that Tesla battery day event, that was hyped up and it was so nice. And of course, everybody was watching it. It was a pretty cool event. Personally, I thought it was cool, but I think it was just so technical. And, like you said, the market has to digest it in a good way. And if Apple doesn't come out with something crazy, the market might just digest it in a bad way. And that's how I feel like it might go. But don't just go out and buy puts or anything like that. It's so 50-50 and the implied volatility will probably go nuts whenever this happens.
Yeah. And we have Iranical saying, guys, do you see many shares of AMD is shorted? So AMD is down 3% today. I'm seeing that the short percentage of the float for AMD is like around 19%, which is actually pretty high for a stock like AMD. So yeah,
that is actually really high for AMD. And maybe that shows that AMD might go down here in the short term. And I'll be honest, this daily chart does not look too good right now. It really broke out above 100 and we had a great run up to 122. I mean, what was that? Like 7 or 8 green days in a row. That was awesome out of AMD. It blew everybody's minds and nobody really expected that type of movement. And now we have lower highs on the daily and we're starting to turn off to the downside. I don't know. It doesn't look too good to me in the short term.
Yeah, so we will see. And then let's see. So Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or anything you're watching for the rest of the day?
I really have my eyes on these stocks like LVS right now. These are really interesting and they're in interesting areas to buy. LVS is right around support. We're at 38.50 now. We were at 39 earlier today. And I don't know. I feel like it could be a good time to start to average in for the long term. Same thing with Boeing. I'm really going to be watching Boeing for the next couple of days. Like we talked about, they're right around that 210 support and they're right on this blue trend line. So I'm really going to be watching this. If I see a big rejection and they fall below 210, it might be a good thing to maybe get into some quick puts or start to average in shares as the share prices get lower. But either way, I'm definitely going to be eyeing it up. If we see a breakout above 215 or 216, then I think we could see an awesome move to the upside. So it's right in a range. And I just feel like it's in a great spot to trade for the next couple of days once we see a move one way or the other.
Good stuff. So thank you guys so much for joining the stream today. We had a great time. The market's going crazy. So definitely be prepared for volatility. As we're seeing with the market, it's all over the place. So again, thank you guys so much for joining and have an amazing rest of your day.